Hello, people from wonderful Switzerland. Yes, I am back to Switzerland after 3 weeks in a row spent driving through Italy. I hope you enjoyed my clips, the one that I shot from what I call the hidden gems of the Italian beauty. That means seeing and experiencing Italy outside of the beaten path of the usual places tourists go. So that's one of the kudos, one of the pluses and benefits of actually having the time to do that. So one more reason, guys, why you should explore having your time back, getting your time back, thanks to the creation of your own digital marketing activities and digital business. But without further ado, I will dedicate the next 30 minutes. I don't know how many of you will join, but for those of you who won't be able to join the live right now, of course, these video, its recording will still be accessible on Facebook. I will also download it and post it on YouTube and send it off to my list, but you can come back to this group and see the recording, post your comments, questions. I hope that you'll find it useful. So the topic today is compliance, but specifically I'm talking about Google compliance. So what am I going to talk about? Well, first of all, I'm going to talk quickly about what compliance is. Secondly, I'm going to talk more specifically about what Google compliance looks like. And secondly, I'm going to go across an overview of what to do in case your account, and I'm talking about your paid advertising account, Google AdWords, is blocked. And it can be blocked, it can be, put on hold for many different reasons. Of course, you don't want that to happen. So if you ever experience, why is it important, first of all, to know? Because if you're into digital marketing, you need to be aware that although we all tend to think that we have full control and full ownership on the tools that we use, either both free and paid ones like Google, that's not true. So sometimes, most often than not, the Googles of the world, but other platforms as well. I will have a separate one on Facebook because the process is different and the experience is also different. Well, when that happens, we're kindly reminded that this can happen pretty much to anyone at any time, and that is going to block their business. It happens to you at a moment where you're most reliant on your advertising, your marketing strategy to drive leads or to convert leads into customers or to attract customers directly. Well, then you need to be aware of the fact that something like this can potentially disrupt everything that you've been planning for. So what most important than being aware, both if you are already kind of practiced, an expert in immersed in digital marketing experiences and skills, and if you are just starting or about to get started. So compliance, what is compliance? Compliance in its general meaning defines just the overall integrity, so the correspondence of, in this case, digital assets. So I'm talking mostly about your website, because our ads, your paid ads, will most probably link to a specific page, part of an overall website that you own, where you sell your products, will you sell your brand, will you just publish your content with the means of offering a value add in terms of services, in terms of products, in terms of content. So when that happens, compliance is measured in several different ways by different platforms, even though pretty much the compliance aspects is mostly related to two things. So first of all, how you the law aspect, the legal aspect. So your content needs to be legal in the way it's presented, in the way it's offered, and offer true statements and claims. And on the other side, also from a user perspective, it needs to be very well thought. So it does not need to provide false statements to incline your readers and the clickers, your leads, to actually believe something that is not true. And so it needs to project a truthful image of what it is that you're offering or that you're talking about. In second instance, it also needs to be very consistent with offering a smooth experience that is also relevant. So let's talk quickly about Google for a second in Google compliance. What is Google compliance? So Google compliance is the set of rules that Google has put in place to conform, to make sure that all the advertising material that is posted on its platforms, because I need to include YouTube here. There's not only Google, the search engine, is respecting certain criteria. I'm not going to cover all of these criteria. There are several criteria. And guys, there is an in-depth guide that I will publish the link to from Google that you're very welcome to go and inform yourself about. I know that the tendency, generally speaking, is not to go and have a look into it until you have received the message from Google that your ads have been blocked or rejected, because your account has been blocked or rejected because it has been found on violation of one or multiple criteria within the policy. But I tell you, when you receive that message, and I did receive that message a couple of months back, you're anything but happy. And you want to make sure that if it ever happens, and I can tell you, it will probably happen, even if you're very much paying attention to what you're doing, because simply speaking, there's so many aspects to take into consideration when we're talking about compliance, that it's impossible to just keep them all in mind. But let's go through the main topics to make sure that you're fully equipped and know how to respond. So first of all, let's quickly talk about the suspended accounts, right? So Google, generally speaking, is of course taking legal requirements and users' safety very seriously. And of course, if there's ever an account suspension taking place, there are also related actions that can partners or its users at risk. So being fully compliant with a set of rules that I'm going to just give you an overview of. So first of all, accounts will be suspended if the advertiser, so that's specific to when people are advertising. Generally speaking, that's not happening simply because your site, a website, which is listed on Google, is containing non-legal content, for example, or false statement that's truly linked to advertising. So, of course, your advertising then is also linked to the destination that your advertising are pointing to. So that's very much linked to the content and the way you present your content on your digital assets, so on your website, on your blog, for example. So, terms and conditions for use. And, a suspended AdWords account will not run any ads. And the advertisers will not be able to create any new content, guys. So you need to be aware of the fact that this is really not to ad within these. So any related AdWords account will also be suspended, guys, along with any new accounts that the advertiser tries to create in the future. So although these may seem like a very easy turnaround, so an account gets blocked, okay, who cares? I'm going to create another one. Google is smart, guys, so don't try that. It's no good. And honestly speaking, I would preach and advise against providing any non-compliant information, because that's actually a very good thing that Google does to protect your and its end users. But ultimately, guys, it's also very good to protect yourself, to make sure that you're staying within a framework that guarantees integrity and a good customer experience and truthful content. So what are the common reasons for account suspension by Google? Okay, guys, so there's many aspects, right? The policy that Google provides can be violated in several aspects. So that's one of the reasons. Your account, if it's been blocked, it's probably because it has violated some of the aspects of the policy. Another reason why AdWords accounts get suspended is because there is an unpaid balance. Now, I'm not really sure the time limit until when an open balance needs to be paid, but above that, your account is going to be suspended until that balance is settled. Another reason is because there's a kind of promotional code. It's called promotional code abuse. And if an advertiser tries to sell promotional codes or use more than one promotional code in their accounts, the associated account will be suspended. So if you're trying to be smart, know that it's difficult to outsmart Google. Possible, but that's not really what you want to try and do. Be compliant. Suspicious payments as well. So if Google was to detect any suspicious or fraudulent payment activity on an account, then your account will be suspended immediately. A common example that Google in its AdWords policy gives out of suspicious activity is using a stolen credit card to pay for advertising, right? And another reason be suspended for your own protection. Ultimately, I also have to say this, that while probably all of these reasons are reasons that people encounter in the space of digital marketing, or at least in the space of a digital marketing which is conducted with integrity and ethic, like the one because that's the one. I hope that we're all fully in sync there. There may be the chance that a high level of chance that the majority of the reasons why an account, any of your account guys on AdWords may be blocked, may be suspended, not blocked, is related to policy violations. And I was saying that while it's possible and it's not even that difficult to undertake the necessary actions, okay, it really depends on the policy violation here, to correct the status of things and get your AdWords account reinstated. I have to add, and it's very important to notice, guys, so jot it down somewhere and have it in front of you, that repeated violations, even though they're just seeming to you like smaller violation of the policy of Google, repeated violations will your account will be suspended. Either of appeal, I'm not able to sell, but I wouldn't push my luck. It has not happened to me yet. I had, and I will tell you here about my story so you can also know what to do if your AdWords account ever gets suspended due to policy violation. So that's why, guys, it's important to prevent. So before I go into those details, I wanted you to understand why preventing a suspension is that important, because you, first of all, don't want to miss out on your business opportunities. But secondly, is also a matter of reputation. Being compliant with Google is, I would say, it's a business card. It's a visit. It's an introduction that you give about yourself to the outside world. And if you're not compliant, and maybe also other digital marketers will know that you are not compliant, that you had repeated issues with compliance with Google and other platforms, then your reputation will eventually also suffer from it, and you will be really recognized as either a trusted advisor or a trustworthy business person to do any kind of business with, right? So that's why it's important. And of course, Google being I think the major platform, eventually at this point in time, including YouTube for paid advertising, if your AdWords account is blocked there, then you're missing out big time. In general terms, before I go ahead and describe my experience with it, with having my AdWords account suspended and then released after solving the issues, I have to say that generally speaking, these still holds true. So the compliance, the existing of policies, and the fact that you need to be compliant not just with Google, it exists with any platform which is out there. Of course, the bigger the platform, the more important the platform, and usually the more stringent and the more defined those actions are and those policies are. One good thing I would say about Google policies and Google in general when it comes to evaluating case by case, Google is very efficient, and its customer care, its support organization, it's also very, very close to you, no matter how big or how small you are. Usually I believe that they have a service level that promises a feedback within 48 hours. Well, my experience has been that I did receive a feedback within 12 hours. So I was really able, with just a few messages, to close everything off and have my site reinstated within 48 hours. So let me talk to you quickly about my experience, right? So I did all of a sudden receive a nice message from Google AdWords account telling me that I violated one or more of the policies of Google AdWords policies, and that as a result had my AdWords account being blocked, being suspended, and hence all of my campaigns and running ads were just stopped. And any new ads that I just published were automatically rejected. So no way around that. It was not just I'm sorry, guys, there's mosquitoes flying around. It was really related to some aspects that ultimately I found out was related to my site. So to where the ads were pointing to and not the ads themselves. So let me quickly make a digression here. So what happens when you violate Google policies, Google AdWords policies? Where they may be an ad or extension disapproval, and that means that they are ads or extensions that don't follow AdWords policies but may be disapproved. There may be a site or app suspension, so that means that Google may suspend websites or apps that violate AdWords policies. For websites, just for you to know, this means that the domain can no longer be advertised until the problem is fixed and the site has passed the policy review, which is actually my case. So what happened to me? Account suspension. So an account may be suspended if you have several violations or a serious violation. So that's the ultimate case. I think that you may have to do something really serious that Google deems, if Google has to deem your account as suspendable or to be suspended. But if you follow these simple rules, your account will never be suspended, and chances are that you can also bring it back to its normal status of working if it has been suspended for any reason, and that you can stay on the safe side also going forward. So what happened to me? So I told you about the message I received from Google, and the fact is this, right? When you receive a message from Google, you don't receive a message which is written by one single person. They're automated messages. So those automated messages are containing a lot of links to, guess what? The policies. So you will have to do quite some reading. As opposed to other platforms that I will not mention here, Facebook, Google has both as a policy which is both comprehensive and easy to read. So what the message I received contained was the information that my account, my ads, violated one or more aspects of the policy. So in all honesty, what I had to do was to go on the Google AdWords account, go into my campaigns, and actually see what the comment was. There is a field there which is telling you what is the reason for your AdWords account having been suspended or for that specific campaign having been rejected. So ultimately, as I told you, multiple rejections will bring to a suspension of the account, but it's not a one-to-one relationship. So your account, unless it's a very serious violation, doesn't get automatically, shouldn't be really getting automatically suspended, right? So after going in there, there was a link to the policies. And actually, it turned out that the cause was, most often than not, it took me a while to realize it, was the lack of a visible, very prominent informational disclosure to the audience that the result, that I was not promoting any false results, that I was not making any false statement, and that, you know, all the results that people could achieve, which is in reality true for me with everything we do, you know, of the actions that I was suggesting and promoting was directly related to the effort and the spirit with which the people would have taken them on and implemented them. Well, wow, yeah, go figure, right? So in essence, there is one word that's related to these cases, and it's called misrepresentation. So Google takes misrepresentation very, very important. I think that when you plan and design your customer journey or the digital journey of your customers or your leads or your prospects, you want to make sure that you don't misrepresent anything, right? Because ultimately speaking, good digital marketers as a basis of their work, know that people will not act on false statements. And honestly speaking, even if you did come up with a false statement and got away with that, would you really want to have a false statement coming out? And then two of the following things are going to happen. Either people will find out very soon that the statement is false, or you would anyway not be able to maintain that claim. So either way, you lose. So what kind of misrepresentation I'm talking about? On the major lines, and again, guys, I encourage you to go onto the AdWords policy knowledge base, and I will post the link here. But the overview that I'm going to give is about missing information. So that's one kind of misrepresentation for Google. So, for example, one of the following things is not allowed. So, disclose the payment model and the full expense that a user will bear. I'm actually just reading it out from the Google support note here, so it's not something I'm making up myself. Failure to display legitimate physical contact information for a financial service business. Omitting material information that is important when soliciting a charitable or political donation. That was not my case. Unavailable offers, that's also one important category that is categorized under the category of misrepresentation, right? So when you're promising products, services, or promotional offers that aren't easily found from the landing page, that's very close to false statements, because either the experience has been very, very poorly designed, or you're deliberately misleading your audience, your visitors, right? So misleading content. So misleading content is probably going to be the cause that most often drives policy violations, and that was what drove my account to be, well, my ads to be rejected, overall my account to be suspended. And making false statements about identity or qualifications is one type of misleading content. Using false claims or claims that entice the user with an improbable or not likely result, even though the result is possible. So this was my case. As I told you, there's no secret behind the fact that, if you're offering a program for people to improve themselves or to improve their business, if the people don't act on those suggestions, on those indications, guess what? They're not going to improve, and their business is not going to improve. These, if it's not accompanied, although these sounds as very much intuitive, Google wants to make sure that they are protected from a legal perspective. Ultimately, guys, that you are protected, but that also the end users are safeguarded by not having to deal with things that are not just improbable, but outright impossible sometimes. This is also holding true when the claims are, as I said, maybe not impossible, but improbable. So Google wants to have a clear space. They don't want to have any trouble with it, because people these days might just think that when they say an ad that is saying, well, you're going to be rich tomorrow if you click on this ad, they may even think that that's true. But that's not the kind of claim I'm talking about. That's totally irrational. That's totally irresponsible for anybody even to click on it and expect any kind of result. So I think and I hope that you're nowhere near that kind of material yourself. I'm not talking about that kind of business. I'm not talking about that kind of advertisement material. I'm not talking about that kind of promotional lines or promotional activities that you're running on your blog or on your digital assets. Usually, and it was my case, the lack of not the lack outright, but the lack of a very prominent and visible statement that said, listen, these results, if you don't take the actions yourself, first of all, they cannot be guaranteed 100%. It's totally dependent, after all, on how and what you do. So they're like nuisances, guys, but things that ultimately will help you be doing a better job as a professional, as a digital marketer, and at serving better your audience, right? But of course, there is even more. So what happened to me in this case was that my a statement like this was present on the site, was just not very prominent in the page. It was just in the bottom of the page. It was called by an asterisk, and it was not enough for Google. So I'm not even sure that actually, I think that was part of a manual review. I think that, and guys, tell me if you know any different. I believe that Google has a team of reviewers who have a backlog of sites and materials which are evaluated, which they run through and come back with a statement. Is it violating our policies? Is it not violating our policies? Yes or no? In that case, actually, my account had been was blocked after 3 months of running. So I was quite surprised. And okay, guys, why didn't you say it before? Most probably because still that's some things that Google is handing out to, in second instance at least, to human beings, to a human being review. So what I did was, Google is quite supportive in that. There is a submission form, right? So first of all, I went into my AdWords account and understood what category my violation was falling in. After a while, I realized what I had to do, which I did. I got back to the Google team using the form. There is a form that is a submission form to appeal for a reevaluation of your assets, of your digital assets, clearly linked on the email. And after clicking on that, within 12 hours, I was contacted back by, I'm not sure whether I should call it a personal consultant, a personal Google AdWords policy consultant. I would just call it that way. Right? And it's a nice title, and I think that's anyway the service I received, or I felt I was receiving. A guy who followed me pretty much not step by step through the process, but told me very much about what to look for and how to improve or solve my issue. So it took me 3 iterations, and in total I had to wait for less than 48 hours from the moment I received the message that my AdWords account was suspended and my ads stopped running until the time that actually it was released. I lost probably about 2 days, but didn't have to do any massive amount of work. It was worth it. You guys need to be aware that this is a very probable possibility, though. That's why I'm bringing it out now. And Google wants you to have compliant material, compliant sites. Why? Because of all the things that I told you until now. Because they want to be compliant. They don't want to have any legal problem. They don't want you also, if they want you or not to have them, it's probably a different topic, but they don't want to have to deal with any people with legal problems, and so they actually protect you as well. They protect their customers, and because, honestly speaking, they want to have you solve your problem as soon as possible so that they keep generating their own income with your paid advertising, with my and your paid advertising, right? But that's good. So I would rate my experience with Google from an engagement and communication perspective overall, 8 out of 10. The reason why I'm not giving a 10 is because I believe that as part of the process of indicating to the people what to look into, they could do an even better job and run the extra mile of telling exactly where the problem lies on the digital assets. In this case, they could have told me, listen, on that page or on that page, this is missing, or if this is not missing, that statement should be placed in another area. So it took me a while to figure it out because I had to run through the policies, but know that actually the policies are not that difficult to read. So I would really rate the policies the way they're written 10 out of 10. Just doing a better job of everybody nowadays wants the user to self-help themselves. Is it possible? Not always, but know that if you're a digital marketer, if you're creating your own digital content, if you're using paid advertising, that this is a very concrete possibility. So your account being marked as violating some of the policies is a probability. Doing things in a bad way. Easy, putting everything together, that we lack the necessary insight or time or attention to the detail at that point in time to write everything the way it's expected to be, because we're in a threat to roll everything out and to publish and to make our content available. Google knows that, of course. And that's why I believe they've implemented such an effective and efficient customer support on this. So if you ever need to fix a suspended account, there are definitely some types of account suspensions that can be resolved using the steps that I quickly described so far. However, there are certain actions that are serious enough to earn a permanent suspension. I'm not going to talk through. You want to inform yourself and educate yourself about the different cases in which an account can be suspended, sometimes even permanently. So when an account is suspended permanently, nothing that I've told you so far is of avail. That's not going to help. Google is not going to listen to you. Or probably it's going to take a very, very high level of attention to have your case rediscussed. But before you get there, do what I told you. Avoid, first of all, to be in a situation of non-compliance. And if you ever are, because it can happen, guys, life comes in the way. That's the beauty of discovering new things as well, right? And it allows me as well to tell you things that some of you may have not experienced that, and some of you may have experienced that instead. And yeah, what else to say? If you ever need to have more details about this, if you want to have an open conversation, if you have problems and you want me to help out with your compliance issues with Google, let me know, guys. I will be very happy to help you out, and we can have a conversation, and you can join me for another live conversation on the NH2, like the number, BE group. Is a closed group, but that's the core group that I manage for discussions that are related to in-depth topics about creating a digital business and digital marketing matters. All right, so guys, all the best. I hope you found these useful. I hope you really did. I'm going to publish my links, the links that I promised you on to the Google support page here. Again, give me the likes, give me the hearts, or give me the no, I didn't like that, so that I can prove it for the next time. All right, guys, all the best to your success. Ciao.